Hello, hello. We are live. Well, I'm live. Dave is Dave will be joining me momentarily, and I'm excited for today's topic. How to borrow funds from private lenders, investors, and this is something that we do all the time. So let's start off by talking. Why would we ever apply this strategy? Why does that work for us? Why do we borrow funds to grow our portfolio? And let's kind of rewind back. This is not the way that we used to do it when we started off. Dave and I were all about using our own money. And we used to come up with that 20% down over and over again to buy properties. And we found that we were able to maybe buy one, say, a year, coming up with that 20%. So about one a year, which meant that if I knew that I wanted to quit my full-time job, in order to do so, I needed quite a few amount of properties, and it was slowly accumulating. So by coming up with 20% down every single time for each property, it took a long time. And we ran out of money. Coming up with that 20% down was exhausting. We couldn't continue to grow anymore. We hit that common roadblock. So what we decided to do was to learn about other people's money, about borrowing somebody's money, so private lenders and all that. And that's when we were able to explode our growth. So for some of you who already know this, we are well known to have purchased 12 properties using none of our own money and without joint venture partners. So we keep all the profit in less than 12 months. And now Dave and I, we solely own over 170 units, and we have lots coming up within the next month as well, which is going to bring us over 200 units. Now, there's no way that we could have done this without private lenders, without using other people's money, because that 20% down every single time that we have to come up with would have been impossible. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, is how did we do it, what are the tools around it, what are the strategies around it, and all that. So we're going to have 5 major points to talk about that. Now, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to get notified. We release a brand new video every single week, and you'll also be notified when we go live, just like we are today. So make sure to do that, and then we're going to get started into our main talking points here. So the first one, so this is one of the strategies that we use to buy properties using none of our own money, and it's in the form of a promissory note. Now, what's a promissory note? First of all, I don't like that. I don't like the name of that at all, because it sounds almost flaky, unprofessional. I've never liked that term, but it is the actual legal term. I much rather use the term contractual agreement when I'm speaking with people, because most of them, they don't know what's a promissory note anyhow. So if I'm going to speak with a lender about lending me money, I will refer to it as a promissory note, which is essentially a contractual agreement, which is the promissory note. Essentially, it's an agreement. So let's say I need $100,000 for the 20% down. I'll approach someone, we'll talk about it, and they would agree to do a promissory note or a contractual agreement in order to have that funding. Now, the contractual agreement, this can vary in terms. So you can have something very short term, 6 months, 1 year, or it could be even longer. So the important thing here is when you're going to be using these kind of contractual agreements, you're going to have to make sure that the lender, of course, is comfortable with that. And they want to know, how much money am I going to make out of this transaction? And how do I know you're going to pay me back? So the exit strategy is absolutely crucial if you want to be using promissory notes, because they may not feel quite as secured doing a promissory note with you, because it's not attached to the mortgage itself. It is not a second mortgage like an owner financing. Promissory notes, it's more or less backed up by your entire global portfolio. So that's the difference between that, and you really have to make sure to make others feel comfortable. And Mr. Dave himself, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, sorry. I was on the phone. I couldn't get off.
I gotta say, it's a little different without you here. It's a little almost quieter.
You know what? You're not the first. My teachers have told me that throughout the years. You're not the first person to tell me that.
So we're talking, we're just on the first talking point for today. We're talking about contractual agreements and how, making sure to really explain to them, even more than owner finance, the exit strategy, because they're not attached to the mortgage, right? So it makes it, you really have to make sure that you can prove to them how they're going to pay them back.
Yeah, and did you talk about how the lawyers reviewed it, or having a lawyer reviewed it, or attorney?
No.
So that's something, again, like I'm thinking when we use our contractual agreement. So we've already had our lawyers and attorneys look at it, but something for you to keep in mind when you're telling the investor, the lender, maybe suggest, say, you don't necessarily need to, but you probably will want to get independent legal advice. Bring it to your own lawyer, bring it to your own attorney where they can feel comfortable and they can do their due diligence, right? So just kind of reassuring them at all times.
Yes, awesome, great. All right, let's talk a little bit of secured funds. But before we do so, can you give us a little thumbs up? They help with the algorithm. We like thumbs up, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, we're trying to build our YouTube page, and we're doing videos, and we're always taking suggestions. So yeah, give us a thumbs up. Write some questions below. Write maybe some suggestions.
See, I didn't even say that. See, this is why two is always better than one.
Two
I
heads
didn't
are
say
better
make
than
sure
one.
that there's a Q&A at the end, so make sure to put some comments below with questions, because yes, at the end, once we're done talking about these strategies,
Yes.
we will be
Q&A.
making
That's our
Q&A
favorite
as
part,
well.
the Q&A. But even that, give us comments as to what type of videos you want to see. Because Mel and I think, I think people would like this, but different investors in all walks of life, I want to see what you're thinking and what you're wanting to know about.
Yes,
So,
let us know what you want to hear about, and so we can create videos around in the upcoming weeks.
so secured funds, people seem to think, in Canada it's RSPs, or LIRAs, or in the States it's your 401ks or your IRAs. People seem to think that this can't be utilized for real estate unless it's going with a bigger agency like a REIT or a real estate investment trust, things like that. And we're here to say, yes, you can do that, but the way we utilize it is towards mortgages on our properties. So secured funds is a beautiful way for other people to invest with you and in your real estate deals through mortgages with their secured funds.
Yeah, this is a great strategy. Think about how many people you know that have 401ks if you're in the States, or RSPs if you're in Canada, right? There's lots of people, and many of them are not necessarily happy with their return on investment from that. So what they can do, they can actually take that money. They don't have to do any work here. The investor does all the work. So what we do, we borrow their money, we pay them interest, they don't do any work, and we are able to buy properties using none of our own money because of that 20% down. It's a win-win because they are making higher interest than they would have otherwise, that they're currently making, and it's secured, of course, through the mortgage.
Exactly. And the key word there is mortgage. It has to be a mortgage when it's secured funds. So you'll need to kind of play around with that, whether it's going to be a first mortgage or a second mortgage. That'll be up to you as the investor to decide, and up to them as well to see what their comfort level is. But yes, they feel very reassured because, again, it's the same thing as a bank. They put a mortgage on the property, whether it's a first charge or second charge mortgage, and that investor / lender has that security of a mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So very important to remember, secured funds has to be a mortgage.
Yes. Awesome. And speaking of mortgages.
Yeah, in this, and I'm trying to think of, because when Raphael and I came up with the subject, I'm trying to think what I meant by the mortgages.
I think it's just another way of funding, right? It's still other people's money in that sense,
the
right?
traditional.
The
Traditional, yes.
So this is your traditional, we're not going to spend too much time on this point, but it's your traditional mortgage, right? That 80% down, or if you're going commercial, that 75% down, that financial institution you're going to be using.
And you're bang on, and I'm kind of interrupting you here, Mel, but I just want to say people forget that the banks are still technically other people's money, right? It's still not your money. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
it's still not your money. Anything that is not your funds coming out of your bank account is OPM.
Well, we always say we do creative financing. Well, a huge part of our creative financing formula, of course, is banks or financial institutions or credit union who hold that first mortgage, as well as having all these other ones that we're talking about today as well. So the combination is important. It doesn't mean that we don't use them. They're certainly part of the strategy as well. Or even once the deal has come to fruition and we refinance the deal, again, they're often involved in the transaction.
Yeah, so mortgages, just look at it as any institution, whether it can be like an A lender, the big four, the big five banks, it can be B lenders, it can be, credit unions. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying there's a spectrum. Every one of those institutions has a place in the life cycle of the deal, but they will give you mortgages. What's one recently that we did? It's a MIC, a mortgage investment company or corporation. Same thing. It's an investment vehicle that gave us a mortgage on our properties.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways that you can utilize different institutions, banks, MICs, credit unions, to give you mortgages, which is again still OPM.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now let's talk terms a little bit. So when we're using these, whether it's owner financing or promissory note that we covered, we didn't really talk about owner financing yet, but that's another strategy that we often use. What kind of terms, are you doing with these kind of people? And honestly, I don't really have an answer for you because it depends on every single deal. We've had certain terms that are very short. Maybe 9 months if it's a flip unit, for example, where it's a gut job and we know that we can pay them back in 6 months or whatever the amount of time is. We've had some that is longer because that's our exit strategy. We need a little bit more time. We know that going into it, and we explain that to the lenders so they know exactly, so they understand, yes, I'm going to pay you back, but I can't do it in 6 months. I need 2 years or whatever the term is.
And think of this, terms can be very flexible when you're utilizing private lenders, private investors, creative financing. And here's an example we give to our mentees in our action program all the time. So the building we're currently in, we did not have any financial institutions, banks, anything. It was strictly creative financing. Now let me get into the example and let me tell you why it's important for the terms. So the seller actually held, so the seller had the entire mortgage paid off, okay? So the seller was able to hold a first charge mortgage of 80% loan to value, and we'll talk about that after why it's important that I'm saying 80. So the seller held 80% first charge mortgage, and we had a lady who had RSPs, let's call her Mrs. RSPs, or let's call her Mrs. Secured Funds because we can apply it to RSP and 401k.
Yes. Yeah.
So Mrs. Secured Funds actually invested with us through a mortgage, the second she invested her RSPs as the second mortgage. So that is 100% financed deal that we were able to do with no institutions whatsoever. So
yeah, sorry, I'll interrupt.
Yeah, your turn.
Think about the power of that. No financial institution whatsoever, and we're still able. So when people say I can't buy properties for this reason or this reason,
bank said no.
Bank said no. There's ways around it. It's a matter of knowing how to do it properly, of course, as well.
I guess when I was still on the phone, I forgot to.
Oh, there you go.
But
it's a live session. You get to hear all the background noise.
All the background.
There's no edits in here.
Now, okay, why was that important to talk about terms? Because look at this. We structured this deal to make it work. This was listed on realtor.ca. The numbers did not make sense. We knew it wasn't a Mel and Dave thing. It was the numbers and the ratios. If we brought it to a financial institution, they would not approve it because it would not meet their ratios.
I remember thinking at the beginning as well that it was only about the person. Yeah. Not about the building.
Like if you get denied at the bank, you think, oh, it's me.
It's me. And when I got my first no, I remember thinking, what? Like I got so offended. Like, what do you mean? Like I have great credit. I don't understand. And then I realized that there's kind of two portions. You, of course, have to be approved. But the building also absolutely has to make sense as well. The numbers have to make sense to the financial institution. Otherwise, they will not want to finance.
Yeah. So again, don't forget to like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. It helps grow our algorithm and the YouTube channel, and we're going to keep giving content. Now let's go back to the terms. Why is this deal important? A few different things. So because we were able to get the owner to finance and have the secured funds, this building, I guess I should tell you about it, it has 2 residential units up top, and then it has our actual office on the main floor. So this would be considered a commercial building, okay? Because there's at least one commercial unit, so they would consider it a commercial building. When it's commercial, they will only give you up to 75% loan to value on the first mortgage. So even if this deal did make sense with the ratios and the cash flow and everything else, if we brought it to an institution, they would have maximum given us 75. But the terms that we're able to negotiate with the seller, he gave us 80, right? So those are terms we're able to negotiate because he's not an institution. He doesn't have specific ratios and all that. He just knows I'm going to sell my building. I'm going to pass along, or sorry, I'm going to legally help my tax situation. I'm also going to make interest on my investment, and then I'm going to sell the building. Okay, so he could have held 100% if he
Yeah,
wanted to.
we've had that before where it's 100% owner financing. And this gave us flexibility. So in this case, the private lender that we used, as Dave mentioned, was Mrs. Secured Funds. Well, it was a perfect amount for this property. So it worked out really well. If we would have had to do 25% down, again, we never used any of our own money, we would have had to come up with the balance of that. So usually, maybe that's when we would have used in combination of a promissory note, for example.
Yeah. So this is where it's super fun and super creative with the terms because you're not dealing with the big banks. You're dealing with individuals. So the terms can really be mutual. It can be anything that works for you. So let's take for advantage.
For example,
Let's take for example, when you get a mortgage with a bank, they're going to want it, bi-weekly, monthly, bare minimum. You can do payments with private lenders and creative financing and private investors. You can do different things. You can have it monthly. You could have it quarterly. You could do every 6 months. You could do at the end of the term. You could do interest only. Like you could do the balloon strategy. There's so many different ways. And that's why, honestly, creative financing allows you to do so many great deals, because if you can show the owner, like we did with this owner, Mr. Seller, we want to buy your building. We're going to give you your purchase price, but here are the terms that we need to make sense. And we'd show them, with our cash flow analysis matrix. We're not making this up, but here are the terms that we need in order to make the deal make sense. And you can do it because it's not with a bank or, a big institution.
Exactly. And we knew there was that huge potential, so we're able to put our magic touch to it. And then, of course, afterwards, when we're ready, do that whole refinance as well.
Yes. So again, we have one more thing, and then we're going to go to Q&A, guys. So please start putting your questions below. Start commenting on suggestions, because we're going to be getting to the Q&A soon enough.
The fun stuff.
The fun stuff. The part we love the most.
Yes. All right. So, of course, with all this exciting promissory notes and private lenders and all that, the most important thing, and I'm actually having a conversation this afternoon, I have an interview, and we're going to be talking about risk assessment.
Yes.
And this falls perfectly into what we want to talk about, risk assessment. What's the biggest risk in doing all these kind of strategies? It's not having your clear exit strategy, right? The biggest risk is I don't know how I'm going to pay them back. You buy the wrong property, you get excited, you buy property, and you fast forward a year or two or at the end of the term, and you don't know how you're going to pay them back, right? That's what you want to absolutely always avoid. That should always be your number one thing. You know exactly how to exit before you enter the deal.
And you know what? One thing that you might think that is going to be automatic, and we've actually noticed it quite a bit, when you are actually doing private lending or creative financing with lenders and investors, they won't always necessarily put you through the same process that a bank would or an institution. So sometimes they'll just say, yes, I'll invest. And that's where you almost need to be extra due diligence and extra vigilant in, do I have the exit strategy to pay them back? Because it's all going to fall on you if you can't, right? So don't think that they're only going to lend to you if it's a good deal, because you will have some lenders that just, will lend to you or will invest with you without doing a whole lot of due diligence. They trust that you know what you're doing, and they like the asset that they see. But this is where you need to truly not touch any money or any private lending or any creative financing unless, like Mel said, the exit strategy is at the forefront of what you're doing. Don't touch any money that you don't 100% know how you're going to pay back.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's go for a little bit of Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I see a couple questions here. From Alba, can I switch and do 80% private lending and 20% with a mortgage? Will they accept those kind of terms?
So let's talk, actually, you know what, Alba, good question. And this will depend, let's talk about this. If you If you're liking, if you're looking to a big five lender to do that, a big lender, a big institution will never be in second place. Sorry, most of the times will never be in second place. They're only going to want to give a first charge mortgage. So that being said, if they do ever do a second mortgage, it'll only be up to a certain loan to value. So typically they won't go higher than, even if they do 80%. So let's say you had a first mortgage of 60% and then you wanted a second mortgage from an institution that does that, they probably won't go up higher than 80% loan to value. So to get that last 20 will typically not be an institution. It will probably be private lenders, private investors, the seller, right, the owner that's selling the building that's willing to hold a second mortgage. So yes, you can still get a second mortgage of 20%, but it probably, 99.9% won't be an institution. It'll be a private investor, private lender.
Yeah.
But no, I like you're thinking outside the box. I love it.
And hey guys, what if it's my first deal and you don't have a portfolio yet? So that's a great question. So you want to, of course, approach it carefully. If you're just starting off, you want to make sure you're doing your due diligence, right? Get educated. Education is such an important piece of being a successful real estate investor. And it's funny because people sometimes, they have no issues spending thousands to go to college or university, yet they know the key to success to becoming a millionaire, can be absolutely through real estate, yet they're not willing to invest in themselves to make sure they don't make costly mistakes or end up losing their whole portfolio. So honestly, I would say educate yourself, get a mentor in whatever field you want to, specialize in. We happen to be the ones who specialize in buying properties, multifamily, using none of your own money and no joint venture partners. That's our niche. So find somebody who, whatever lane you want to be in, get educated. And when it comes to your exit strategy, you want to show the lender an exit strategy. So just because you're new, it doesn't mean it can't be done. Everybody starts off somewhere. Mm-hmm. We have mentees from across North America doing this. So I want you to take that roadblock, throw that out the window, because it is absolutely doable. It's what you say and don't say that matter. It's what you show them and don't show them that matters, right? So in order to, a big part about real estate investing is being a salesperson as well, right? Being able to convince them, why should they lend to you? Why should I lend you $100,000? And not only you'll be able to answer that, but being able to say the right things to them, showing them some kind of information, whatever your assets are. And also, of course, what we love to do, and it works like a charm, is showing them our cash flow analysis matrix, because it shows them our clear exit strategy. And that's how we've been able to do it all over and over again. And most importantly, pay them back every single time without having one go wrong, right? We use the strategies all the time.
Yes, and Alba, Mel, you knocked that one out of the park, but Alba, just to touch on that, or just to add on that is, again, like Mel said, everyone's always been there the first time, or they've always, everyone has to go through their first time. I still remember once we got educated and we understood the creative financing, how it worked, in our first couple of times, we thought, oh no, they're going to ask us that. We were already educated and knew, you don't know, but we had gotten ahead of it. We were able to answer all their questions before they would even ask it. So it would, when you're confident and you know what you're talking about and you have the clear exit strategy because it's backed up by numbers and facts, people will typically not ask you that then. They will just see, they'll assume you've done it before. So it might not be a question that you will get. Some people will ask it, but you might not get that. So it might not even be an objection, because if you've educated yourself, you're just going to knock it out of the park, and you're going to have that exit strategy, and you're going to show the investor why they should do it with you.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. All right, let's continue on. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the bell to be notified, so that way you can participate again next time. Keep your comments coming and questions. All right, Ravi, do you offer any personal one-on-one consultation for someone who is interested in a property? So we have an A to Z mentoring program. We show you everything you need to know. We give you our cash flow analysis matrix. So it's very detailed. And yes, you get access to ask us questions every single day. So if you are interested in that, just reach out to us, send us a message, or you can go on our website, Investor Mel Dave, send us a message on there. But we're all over social media as well.
Yes, 100%. And just so you know as well, Ravi, just to add on to that, it is, okay, because you're asking for a one-on-one. Now, this will be a group setting. Now, you're still going to be able to ask your one-on-one questions. It's going to be in the group. Okay, how do I touch on this? Everyone always thinks they need specific one-on-one mentoring. And we used to think the exact same way before as well. Now, we did a bunch of programs to make sure, like a beta program 1 and 2, and we discovered that group learning, especially with, adults and that, group learning is so much more powerful. So that being said, Ravi, you can still ask your question one-on-one, and it's going to benefit the group. The other thing, too, is you'll have someone from the West Coast in Canada or the States. You'll have someone from East Coast Canada and the States asking other specific questions that you would never have thought of, and you actually end up gaining from their experience and their questions. So it ends up being a compounding effect. It ends up being even better than one-on-one. So I almost feel it's an injustice to people now to give them one-on-one training because they're not getting that full gamma from everyone else.
Yeah, and it's proven, right? I mean, we've done research through it, we've educated ourselves, and our mentees are getting the results as well. If you follow us on Instagram, every single Monday we post somebody we feature one of our Action family members who is buying properties as well. So they're getting the results, it's doable, and they're doing so. Your network is your net worth, and that's exactly what you get as part of the program as well.
Proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Anna's actually one of our mentees. Anna, because we're going live at 1 with the Action family, how about we keep this for in the Action family, and then I'll have more time to go into depth.
Anna, you get exclusive. You get a really good
okay, so
detailed
I'll do this, and
answer.
let's make sure to go through in the mentorship group so I can spend more time.
Jack, how were you guys educated on the real estate industry? Did you go to school or receive mentorship? Great question. At first, no. At first, we were very stubborn. We thought we could do it all ourselves.
Yes, and it was Jack, right?
Yes.
Jack. And think of this, Jack. Yes, so we didn't want to educate ourselves. We thought
At first.
we didn't. We thought we could just do it all ourselves. And then, so 2014, 2015, 2016, we bought one property a year because we were doing it on our own. Then we decided we got smart. We got mentored. Now we've spent well over $100,000 in our own education through mentorship and all that. And then once we got the education part in 2017, instead of buying one building a year, we bought 12 properties in less than 12 months, solely owning them, no joint venture partners, none of our own money. So that is the power of knowledge.
Next year I was able to quit my job.
Exactly.
So really thinking about the time that I saved. So
well, if we did one a year.
If I did one a year, it would have been 12 years.
To get those 12 and 12, yeah.
It would have been 12 extra years of working my job that I didn't want to be in anymore. It was 12 years that my kids would be longer than my oldest, my two.
They'd be moved out.
They would all be moved out. Oh, no. So this is the importance of, and not just about expediting your growth. That's of course a huge part of it, but it's about learning from other people's mistakes, connecting with other people, and all that. So yeah. So now we've been mentored. We continue to be mentored. We're always investing in ourselves and our growth in different aspects of our lives. And I absolutely encourage you guys to do the same. It's so valuable.
Yeah, great question, Jack.
Awesome. I can see another question coming in here.
I can see Raphael writing away. So again, guys, if you haven't already, and I know I don't want us to be a bother, but please like and subscribe to our YouTube page. We launch a video every Thursday, I think around 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes.
And we're being aggressive. We want to give you as much content as possible. So please comment below what video, what do you want to see? What subject do you want us to talk about? What deal do you want us to analyze? Like, what exactly are you thinking about? But just know, again, Mel and I specialize multifamily, solely owning, no joint ventures, no partners, and none of our own money with creative financing. Anna. Oh, I wonder if that's Anna.
Is it the same Anna? Yes,
it is
the same
Anna. Okay, Anna, great questions. RSP, willing to lend money, how to select the borrower, initial idea to go with. And yes, Anna, let's keep both of these. These are great questions. Let's go over them in the mentorship 1 p.m. because then I'll be able to give you more time. Does that sound fair? Raphael, let me know if she answers yes or no.
Awesome.
Okay. Yes, Anna. Well, I'm keeping them right here for when we go live.
Good. See, that's the beauty about that. That's a little bit extra people get, right? With when they're part of the Action families, that they get us, and it's the detail, the real meat and potatoes of everything.
1 hour of nonstop questions. It's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you have a topic suggestion for next week, let us know, or for one of the upcoming weeks, let us know. We also have, I should let you guys know this well, we have a challenge right now. So investors, you're watching right now, are you up for a challenge? We have the Investor Challenge happening on Instagram. We're giving away coffee mugs.
Coffee mugs. The Action Taker Investor Melody coffee mugs. They're huge too. You get to put a lot of coffee in there.
Yes. A copy of our best-selling book, a $100 Visa card, and
we're going to sign the book as well, write a little message as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Personalize it.
Yes. And what else? And a 20 minutes mentoring session with us.
Yeah, so 20-minute mentorship session with Mel and I.
Yeah, so check out the Instagram. Today, all you have to do is post a story. It doesn't have to be your picture if you don't want to. What is your favorite real estate book? And then you're going to tag us. You'll see my story. It's going to give you all the information on how to participate. And just like that, you're in it for the draw. So take the Investor Challenge every day of the week.
There's 3 days left.
3 days left to participate. And every time you do, you go in for the final draw as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're excited for that.
Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday lunch hour with us. Again, we'll see you next week every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube page. And tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, make sure to watch our new video coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
It's going to be a good one.
All right.
All right.
Shh, don't tell them what's.
I almost said it to you.
I know. Shh, surprise. You're usually the surprise person.
I know. I got sidetracked.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Bye for now.
Bye.